Hey guys, welcome back to another Hardcore Nuzlocke. The last two were really well received, so I decided to take on another one. I'm taking a break from the shiny only Nuzlockes though, and instead we'll be doing something a little bit different. Today we ask the question, can you beat a Hardcore Nuzlocke of Fire Red as Blue? You may have seen that my friend Zwigo has done a couple of videos using Blue's team before. You're probably already subscribed, but I'll link his channel in the description below. Now, Blue has had a lot of forms with a lot of teams over the years, but for this challenge, the team will be based on his champion team from Fire Red and Leaf Green. When I think of Blue, I always associate him with a Blastoise, so I'll be using the team that he uses if you choose Charmander. That means that the only Pokemon I'll be able to use in this challenge are the Squirtle, Pidgey, Abra, Growlithe, Execute and Rhyhorn lines. Also, to allow me to get an Alakazam, I've used the Universal Randomizer to allow trade evolutions to evolve via level up instead. These are some pretty strong Pokemon, but keep in mind this is a Nuzlocke, and a hardcore one at that. I'm only allowed to use one of each of these Pokemon, and if it faints, it's considered dead and can no longer be used. I am having to bend one rule of Nuzlockes for this challenge slightly, but I don't really think it's a big deal. I'll be catching both Execute and Rhyhorn in the same area, but I don't think it's much of an issue considering that I won't be catching anything on 95% of the areas in this game. Plus, I'll literally only be allowed 6 Pokemon for the entire Nuzlocke. Of course, the added rules to make it a hardcore Nuzlocke are in play here too. I'm not allowed to use items in battle, I have to play in set mode, and none of my team can be higher than the next gym leader's strongest Pokemon. Again, for the Pokemon League, I'll be setting this at 58, which is the same as Agatha's highest level, but also ensures that I won't be higher than Lance's strongest by the time I get there. As always, quick shout out goes to these people for finding the dabbing Delibird last time. He's in this one too, so as always keep an eye out for him and comment down below with the timestamp for a chance to be featured in the next one. Alright, let's see how Blue would fare in a hardcore Nuzlocke. Let's go. I start the game picking the male character and calling him Blue. No points for guessing the reference this time. As always, I name our rival Zwigo. I already copied his idea, so I might as well use his name for views as well. I pick Squirtle as our starter, nicknaming it Leo, and beat Zwigo in a close fight. After getting our Pokedex and Pokeballs, the Nuzlocke begins and we can catch our first Pokemon immediately, that being a Pidgey. I nickname it Moa. If anyone guesses this reference correctly, they'll get a shout out in the next video. I then do some training and face off against Brock. This fight is pretty much impossible to lose though, as Leo has Water Gun, which one-shots both Geodude and Onix without a care in the world. Nice easy start to this one. I evolve Leo and Moa into Wartortle and Pidgeotto respectively, and while in Mount Moon I pick the Helix fossil, which means it's time again for Lord Helix's words of wisdom. Clear the mind. Put on your clear the mind and put on your clown makeup. I take on Zwigo before facing the second gym. Pidgeotto is first and Leo is able to take it out without too much problem with a couple of bites, and next up is Bulbasaur. I send in Moa expecting a Vine Whip, but he actually poisons us instead. 2 Gusts easily deal with it though, and next up is Abra who can't attack me, so a Gust and Quick Attack finish it off, and last up is Rattata. The poison is really starting to rack up though, so I send Leo back in, who takes a Quick Attack. In return we can one-shot with a critical hit bite for the win. Now we can catch our next team member Abra. I nickname it Abra, because of course I do. I can't actually train it up yet though, as it doesn't have any attacking moves, and my other 2 Pokemon are dangerously close to going past the level cap, so that's going to have to wait until after the next gym. Speaking of, Misty wasn't too much of a problem. Staryu's first and goes for Harden as Leo hits a bite, which does just under half. We're hit by a weak Water Pulse as we bring it down to red with another bite, but she fully heals it up. We end up getting confused by a Water Pulse though, so I decide to send in Moa to finish off the Staryu, and last up is Starmie. We're hit by a Water Pulse but we're able to hang on, and hit a Sand Attack to lower its accuracy. I then switch Leo back in as she thankfully misses twice in a row, allowing us to deal some good damage with a bite. She does hit me a couple of times but we have great defenses, so we weren't really in much danger, and a couple more bites take it down and we win the second badge. Before facing Surge, I evolve Abra into a Kadabra, who's the only member of my team not weak to electric. The fight with Surge actually starts off in the best way possible. Right off the bat, Voltorb goes for a Screech, which allows Leo to go for the super effective Dig. It doesn't actually KO however, but he misses a Sonic Boom the next turn, allowing us to finish it off with a Water Pulse. Pikachu gets outsped and one-hit KO'd by a Dig, so we're already down to his final Pokemon Raichu. Things get a little bit sketchy here though as you start setting up double team as I go for dig. Fortunately we can still land though and do about half of its health, but we end up missing the second one as we're hit with a massively powerful shockwave. I need to get out of here, so I send in Abra, who's able to take a shockwave and hit back with a Psybeam, but it leaves it on a sliver of health as we get paralysed by a Thunder Wave. He even heals up, so things aren't looking good, but then the RNG gods bestow upon me a critical hit, taking out Raichu and winning us the fight. That could have gone very, very wrong. Now we move on to Celadon City, and on my way I catch my next Pokemon, Growlithe. We're not exactly short on Pokemon good against Erika's team, but it's a welcome addition nonetheless. I nickname it R9 after fellow YouTuber R9Beats, link in the description. We then face off against Erika, who leads with a Victory Bell, so I send out Moa and go for an Aerial Ace as we get paralysed by a Stun Spore. We then get hit by 2 Acids as we get fully paralysed, but we're able to take it out eventually with another Aerial Ace, and next up is Tangela. I switch in R9 to target its lower special defense, as she wastes a turn using Ingrain. I go for Ember, which leaves her in the red, as she poisons us with a Poison Powder. She then fully heals, but we end up getting a crit Ember to take it out in one hit, and last up is Vileplume. I stay in just to see how much damage an Ember will do, and as it turns out, not that much. Acid brings us into KO range, so I need to switch out. I send in Abra, who does survive an Acid, but his defenses get lowered, meaning that if we don't KO this turn, we're in trouble. I go for Psybeam, and thankfully it's just enough, and we win badge number 4. Giovanni was no problem thanks to Leo's water attacks, and before moving on I evolve R9 at level 31, as it learns the move Flame Wheel. Normally I would wait until level 49 when it gets Flamethrower, but I don't want to have to use a weak Pokemon in a Hardcore Nuzlocke for any longer than I need to, and I'll probably just end up using the Fire Blast TM on it later. We then defeat Zwigo once again without any issue, and move on to Fuchsia City, where in the Safari Zone I can catch my final 2 team members. First of which is an Execute named Egbert, and lastly is a Rhyhorn named Donna. This rounds out the team nicely. The next level cap is 43, so I go on a bit of a training spree, fully evolving our team in the process. We evolve Egbert into an Exeggutor, Moa into a Pidgeot, Leo into a Blastoise, Abra into an Alakazam, and even Donna into a Rhydon. All of a sudden, this team is looking a lot tougher. We then take on the 5th gym leader Koga, but this was almost a clean sweep. His first coughing goes down to a single Psychic from Abra, and next out is Muck. I assumed that Psychic would be enough, but to assume is to make an ass out of you and me. He lives on a sliver, but thankfully he only uses Minimize. He fully heals up, but I bring it back down to red once again, and go for the Shockwave to finish it off, but he heals it up again. We then end up missing the Psychic, but he just goes for Minimize again, and this time we don't miss and it finally goes down. If he had hit us there, we could have been in trouble. His last 2 Pokemon Coughing and Wheezing both faint to a single Psychic easily, so we win the 5th badge with only a minor bump in the road. Before facing the next gym, we need to take on Team Rocket, where we're faced with another Zwigo fight. Pidgeot is first, so I lead with Donna, who gets outsped, and hit with a Feather Dance to lower our attack. Rock Slide is still going to be a 2-hit KO however, and his Wing Attack does next to nothing, so we take it out the next turn, and next up is Venusaur. I send in R9 as he uses a weak Razor Leaf, and retaliate with a Flame Wheel for about 50% as he goes for Sweet Scent. This allows us to finish it off with another one, and next up is Gyarados. I switch Abra in on a Dragon Rage, and then we outspeed and one-shot with a 4-time super effective Shockwave, and next up is Growlithe, who just gets one-shot by Psychic. Zwigo's final Pokemon is his own Alakazam, so I switch in Moa as he goes for Future Sight. He then starts setting up Calm Mind as I land an Aerial Ace for big damage, and we do enough to where I can finish it off with a Quick Attack the next turn, and we win the fight. We're definitely the better blue so far. Giovanni's next, but again this was an easy fight. Nidorino deals small damage to Egbert with a Fury Attack, and gets KO'd from full health by a Psychic, and next up is Nidoqueen. We get poisoned by a Poison Sting as our Psychic leaves it on red health, so I finish it off with a Giga Drain, and next up is Kangaskhan. I switch in Donna as he really can't hurt us, and a couple of Rock Slides send it packing. His final Pokemon is a Rhyhorn, so I switch in Leo just to be safe, who takes a Rock Blast easily and KOs in return with a Surf. We beat Giovanni and move on to the 6th gym leader Sabrina, but this was another relatively straightforward battle. Moa deals with her first 3 Pokemon without taking a single point of damage, and only her Alakazam is left standing. We're outsped and hit by a Psychic for about half, as we hit back with an Aerial Ace to bring it down to the yellow. I go for a Quick Attack hoping it'll be enough, but we just get a critical hit to finish it. I'm pretty sure it would have KO'd either way, but regardless we win the 6th badge. From one easy fight to the next, Blaine was a complete pushover. We outspeed and one-hit KO his first 3 Pokemon with Leo's Surf, and only his Arcanine is left. He hangs on from a Surf with a sliver of health, and hits back with a Fire Blast for small damage. He does heal it up, but we bring it right back down to red with another Surf, and then finish it off with one more for the win. Just one more gym badge left to claim. Giovanni's gym was also pretty easy though. This time it's Egbert who sweeps his team. Rhyhorn goes down to a single Giga Drain, and next up is Nidoqueen, who does unfortunately paralyze us before fainting to a Psychic. Nidoking hits a Thrash for small damage but also goes down to a single Psychic, and while we do get fully paralyzed, his Dugtrio goes down to a single Giga Drain after hitting a couple of weak Earthquakes. His final Rhyhorn just goes for takedown, so another Giga Drain knocks it out from full health, and we win the 8th and final gym badge, onwards to the Pokemon League. Of course, before we can get there, we have to face Wiggo once more. Pidgeot is first as always, so I lead with Donna, and one-shot with a Rock Slide after being hit by a laughably weak wing attack. Venusaur is next, so I send in R9 to take a Razor Leaf and hit back with a Fire Blast. It just falls short, but he wastes his turn on Sweet Scent, so we finish it with a Flame Wheel, and next up is Rhyhorn. I send in Egbert to tank a takedown and hit back with a Giga Drain, which one-shots it and heals us up in the process. Next out is Growlithe, so I just stay in and one-shot with a Psychic, and next is Gyarados. He chooses Leer for some reason as I bring it down to half with a Psychic, and then he goes for Rain Dance. Okay, he just doesn't want to hit me. One more Psychic finishes it off, and Zwiggo's final Pokemon is Alakazam. He misses a Disable as I paralyze it with a Stun Spore, but this does activate his ability, paralyzing us too. I go for Giga Drain, but he starts setting up Calm Mind, so I really need to deal with this thing quickly. I send in R9 as he just goes for Disable again, and from there we can land an Extreme Speed, which takes out from there and we win the fight. Now we can finally take on the Elite Four. Before that, here's a look at our team. I'm shocked but very pleased that we've made it this far without a single death. Our squad is looking really powerful with some great coverage, so I'm feeling hopeful. We might just be able to pull this off. Let's see how we do. First up is Lorelei, and I don't really have any counters to her team, so I had to play a risky game. Dugong is first, so I lead with Abra and start setting up Calm Mind. I'm able to set up 2 as she only uses Hail and Safeguard, and from there a single Psychic takes it out, and next up is her strongest Pokemon, Lapras. I go for another Psychic, which unfortunately falls short as she hits a Body Slam. She doesn't paralyze or anything though, so I can finish it off with a Shockwave from there, and next up is Cloyster. I know this thing doesn't really like to attack very often, so I take the opportunity to recover some HP, and I was right as she goes for Spikes, so from there I can take it out with a single Shockwave, and next up is Slowbro, who also gets one-shot by Shockwave. Last up is Jinx, but I get a lucky crit to one-shot it, winning us the first match of the Elite Four. That really couldn't have gone much better. Next up is Bruno, and unfortunately this is where our run ends. I'm just kidding, Egbert sweeps his entire team with Giga Drain and Psychic. Seriously Bruno, your parents must be ashamed of you. Agatha's next, but to be honest, she wasn't really that much more difficult. First up is Gengar, so I lead with Moa. I know that it likes to spam double team and I have Aerial Ace which can't miss, but it does less than half and we get confused before she fully heals up. We do hit ourselves once, but we're able to bring it back down to red health and even avoid a Toxic before knocking it out with one more. Golbat is next, so I send in Abra, and this is basically the end for Agatha. We survive an Air Cutter easily and KO with a Psychic from full health, and the rest of her team follow suit. Arbok, Gengar and Haunter all faint to one Psychic each, and we easily beat Agatha. Just one more member of the Elite Four left to go, but it's a tough one. Lance starts with a Gyarados, so I send in Abra, and goes straight for the Shockwave. Unfortunately, it lives on a sliver of health and goes for Bite for decent damage, but I know he's going to heal up here, so I go for Calm Mind, and then one-shot it the next turn with another Shockwave. Aerodactyl's next, so I stay in and go for Psychic, but he actually lives the hit. Not only that, he goes for Hyper Beam, knocking us out. I guess it's not a Plonkerboy Nuzlocke unless a Pokemon from the Abra line faints. He has to recharge though, so I send in Leo to finish it off with a Surf, and next is one of his 2 Dragonair. I outspeed and hit an Ice Beam, but it doesn't actually KO, and to make matters worse, we get paralyzed as well. He doesn't heal up though, and instead goes for Outrage for a small amount, as we take it out with another one. His second Dragonair comes out, so I switch into Donna as I'll need Leo's Ice Beam later. We also have plenty of HP to take a Dragon Rage as he opts for Safeguard instead of attacking. We then get a critical hit Earthquake to take it out in one hit, and now we're down to his final Pokemon, Dragonite. He outspeeds us, landing a huge Outrage, but Donna can take it and hit back with a powerful Rock Slide, which brings it down to about a quarter of its health after the Citrus Berry. We're going to be taken out the next turn though, so I need to switch. I send in R9, who takes less than half from Outrage, giving us the opportunity to attack. I go for Bite as I don't think Extreme Speed will be enough, and I thought it would keep him out of healing range, but apparently not, as after hitting another Outrage he fully heals up. This could be a problem. Extreme Speed deals small damage, so I need to switch again, so I send in Leo in the hopes of tanking 2 Outrages, and thankfully we do, living on just 5 HP. I hit back with a 4x super effective Ice Beam, and it's not enough.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I have a plan though. Moa is still at full health, so I send her in, and after tanking another Outrage I can outspeed with the priority quick attack, and take it out for the win. We did lose 1 team member there, but we very nearly lost 4. All that's left now is the champion Zwigo, but it's a 5 versus 6. Once again he starts with Pidgeot, so I lead with Donna. We immediately get our attack lowered by Feather Dance, which means our Rock Slide doesn't KO, and he swaps into his own Rhydon to take a second one. I send in Egbert as he goes for Scary Face, and after being hit by a takedown I KO with a single Giga Drain and get my health back as well. Gyarados is next, and my counter for this is already down, so I stay in and paralyze it with a Stun Spore, and then hit with a Leech Seed and start attacking. After the Leech Seed damage, all it takes is 1 Giga Drain followed by a Psychic to secure the knockout. Out next is Pidgeot once again, so I switch Donna back in as he goes for Aerial Ace. He then goes for another Feather Dance, which means our Rock Slide just barely fails to finish it off, and then he uses not 1 but 2 full restores. We do eventually finish it off though, and next out is his starter Venusaur. I switch in R9 as he sets up a Growth, and land a Fire Blast to bring it down to a Sliver as he sets up a second Growth. He full restores again, but a Flame Wheel and Fire Blast combo take it out without him even hitting us, and next up is Alakazam. He outspeeds, hitting a Psychic for over half our HP, as I land a super effective Bite for under half. I take a risk and go for Extreme Speed, praying it'll be enough, and thankfully my prayers get answered as it just manages to KO. We're now down to his final Pokemon, which is his own Arcanine, so I switch in Leo on a Flamethrower. We take the hit with ease, but we do unfortunately get burned, and then hit by another one as I hit a Surf to bring it down to low health. The burn damage has left us dangerously close to KO range, so I need to switch. I send in Donna, who's more than capable of taking an Extreme Speed and Flamethrower, and we deal the finishing blow with an Earthquake. Arcanine goes down and we beat Zwigo, and beat a Hardcore Nuzlocke of Fire Red using Blue's team. This was certainly a unique run, and considering I only had 6 mons the entire Nuzlocke, I think things went pretty well. It's a shame that Abra didn't quite make it to the end, but our team of 5 was strong enough to overcome the champion and win the run. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it. I'm really getting into Hardcore Nuzlockes, so comment down below with any suggestions that you might have for more in the future. If you enjoyed this video, then please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel if you're new. Once again, we're trying to hit 40,000 by the end of the year, so if you liked this video then please stick around for more. Also, make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, etc. if that's your sort of thing. When this video goes out, I'll actually be getting on a plane as I'm going on holiday for a couple of weeks. I'm going to do my best to ensure that there won't be a gap in uploads though, so if all goes to plan, there should be a video on Blazing Emerald coming out either next week or the week after. If not, then I'll apologise, but I'll try my best. That's pretty much all I've got for you today, so as always, thank you all so much for watching. Until next time.